In the heart of the State Department, where secrets are as common as coffee cups, my ordinary day was about to take an extraordinary turn. It was just another day until my boss called me into his office. I was a junior staffer, known for my diligence and discretion. But today, the routine was broken. My boss, with a serious tone, informed me that a senior member from an unfamiliar branch of the department had singled me out for a special assignment. This senior member's office was situated somewhere unexpected, deep underground in a place I'd always assumed was a storage area. The descent was like entering another world. The office was surprisingly well-furnished, pristine, and modern. The walls told a story of power and influence, adorned with photos of presidents dating back 50 years. I was intrigued, yet filled with a touch of unease. The unusual location, the mysterious senior member, the sudden special assignment. It was a lot to process. But how could I refuse a senior member? I was a little uneasy, but I couldn't say no to a senior member. Little did I know, my life was about to change. I signed new and strange confidentiality documents, and my security clearance was increased just like that, which was unusual, to say the least. Yet I was ready for the task, or so I thought. The senior member, with an aura of mystery, began to unravel the details of my assignment. His words were calculated, each one carrying immense weight. "You have been selected to greet a special delegation," he stated. His voice echoed in the strangely isolated underground office. "This delegation hasn't visited the States since 1947, he said. I was intrigued, but a sense of unease washed over me. 1947? That was decades before I was even born. Who were these delegates and why were they returning now? Despite my reservations, I found myself drawn toward the enigma of the task. The allure of the unknown had always been my weakness. I nodded, signaling my acceptance of the assignment. The senior member gave me a knowing look, a hint of a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Intriguing, isn't it?" he said, almost reading my thoughts. "Your role is crucial, and I have no doubt you'll handle it with the utmost professionalism." His words were meant to be reassuring, but they only added to my growing sense of apprehension. As if sensing my unease, he added, "I understand your concerns, but remember, you were chosen for this. You've proven yourself capable of handling confidential data, and this assignment requires that same discretion." I swallowed hard, my mind racing. What had I gotten myself into? But there was no turning back now. The senior member stood up, signaling the end of our meeting. "The delegation is arriving in 10 minutes, he announced. I followed him out of his office, our footsteps echoing in the vast underground corridor. We walked in silence to an even deeper chamber. The sight that met my eyes was nothing short of surreal. A gigantic portal stood before us, glowing an ominous red. I could only stare, my heart pounding in my chest, as the gravity of my assignment finally sunk in. As I stood in front of the red glowing portal, I was told to remain professional, no matter how the delegation looked. And then, beings materialized, seemingly out of nowhere. The entities that emerged were unlike anything I'd ever seen. They were monstrous, towering over me with a presence that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Their forms, shifting and undulating, left me utterly speechless. These were creatures beyond my comprehension, beyond my realm of understanding. They were aliens, in the most literal sense of the word. The senior leader, unfazed by their daunting appearance, greeted them in a language that sounded like a symphony of whispers and roars, a tongue that was not of this earth. I stood there, frozen in place, as he pointed towards me. The aliens turned their gaze in my direction. Their eyes, if you could call them that, flickered with an alien intelligence, and they nodded. A shiver ran down my spine as I saw them begin to drool, their long, slithering tongues flicking out to taste the air. I could see my reflection in the glistening pools of saliva that dripped from their grotesque maws. They began to move towards me, their advance slow and deliberate. I was a rabbit caught in the headlights, paralyzed by fear. The senior leader merely watched, a twisted smile playing on his lips. I realized then the true nature of my special assignment. I was to be a sacrifice, a diplomatic gift for these intergalactic visitors. Panic set in, a primal fear that surged through my veins like a jolt of electricity. I was trapped, my escape route blocked by the monstrous delegation. My mind raced, desperate for a way out, a chance to survive. And then, in a moment of sheer desperation, I made the decision. The portal, still glowing with a menacing red light, was my only escape. I ran, my heart pounding in my chest, and took a leap of faith. I was trapped, a diplomatic gift for these monstrous beings. In a panic, I dove through the portal. I landed in a dark room. The stench was unbearable. I heard a growl. The cold, damp air seemed to seep into my bones, making me shiver uncontrollably. My heart pounded in my chest, a wild drum echoing my fear. The room was silent, save for the soft, eerie growls that echoed in the distance. The darkness was thick, almost tangible, a blanket of obscurity that kept me blind to what lay in wait. As seconds turned into minutes, my eyes slowly began to adjust. The dark veil lifted ever so slightly, revealing a sight that froze my blood. I wasn't alone. The room was teeming with creatures, monstrous beings just like the ones I'd encountered earlier. Their glowing eyes bore into me, their drooling maws widening into grotesque smiles. The monsters closed in on me, and that's when I realized this was just the beginning of my torment.